Hey, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine alongside Jeff Hawkins in sunny Arizona. I'm here at the home studio in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, where it is actually above zero today, which is incredible for late December. That's in the probably hit like, late or high 30s for you people in US. So, I mean, it's pretty incredible weather for Winnipeg. We had a happy holidays. I hope y'all did. I want to thank y'all for listening. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That really helps us out. And if you're listening on audio, thank you for signing up. If you haven't signed up for the Fight Game Media free feed, make sure you do that too. But Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Hi. What are we drinking today?
Oh, just Diet Coke.
Okay. Yeah. I have a Dr. Pepper Zero and Woodford Reserve. It's quite tasty.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
Nice. That sounds really good, actually. I'll be probably doing that in a couple weeks when I go to Laughlin, Nevada, not too far from where you are. Yeah, it's just on the Arizona border.
Oh, I know where it is.
Yeah. We got the go home show today for World's End. Mm-hmm. And man, before we get into tonight's Dynamite, I literally just caught up on the weekend stuff like in the last couple days, just because Christmas and everything. I was kind of behind, and what a whirlwind of stuff that happened on those shows to get us to where we are now. I mean, when we last talked, we had seen that 3-way, and we talked a lot about that, a lot of discourse about when they told us about the 3-way. I don't know if you even want to get into that, but some people heard it, some people didn't. Whatever, it doesn't matter now. It's already over. A hell of a match. We'll talk about it. And we got our finals for the Continental Classic, the first ever Continental Classic. We usually do this before the show, but was there any other big news in AEW this week? Other than Jericho losing his mind on Twitter.
Matt Jackson's wife leaving.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Dana and another dude too, right?
The vice president of live events.
Yeah, he's gone to work for Barclays, I think,
or the Barclays Center in New Jersey. Yeah, and then was this the Jackson wife that was head of merch?
I believe so. Yeah. So she's the one. I think she said she was it got out that she was upset that AEW didn't defend her when CM Punk went after her and the Bucks, and maybe she's got a point.
Let's I don't want to throw salt on this wound, but merch at AEW events is lacking. So, I mean, if we could get somebody else in there, I'm good with that. But I also agree with I also agree with her in a harsh way. I mean, look, the Tony wanted to soothe the Punk side because it was better for business, and I get that, but there's a cost for that. And yes, you can run up a tab pretty heavily drinking Woodford Reserve and Coke or some sort of mixer. Go with the well bourbon if you're going to do that at a bar.
Life hacks from Jeff Hawkins. I think what happens is sometimes a young company outgrows its employees.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's also true. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like eventually you need people who know bigger business.
Yeah.
And I think that's true in many facets of this company, to be honest.
I think the only non-wrestling executive left from the beginning now is Mookie. If I remember correctly, I think I saw somebody say that. So
okay. Yeah.
And I mean, from all indications, we're both friends with him. I don't think he's going anywhere. He seems to be doing a good job. Seems to be happy. So, and they seem to be happy with him. So, yeah, it's a good thing. But the other thing was,
did you want to get into Jericho losing his stuff on Twitter?
Well, I was trying to think because you know what? I mean, that's all a lot of hearsay.
Taurus versus Vikingo was outstanding.
Okay. I do want to talk about that because I had a buddy over on Boxing Day. A good friend of mine, best friend. I've known him for 30 years.
For us ugly Americans, Boxing Day is the day after Christmas in Canada.
And I don't even know why I said Boxing Day because he was over on Christmas and Christmas Eve. No, actually, his wife was over on Christmas Eve, and then him and his wife and his kids came on Christmas. So, anyways, I had a chat with him, and you know, we've been friends for 35 years at least, and we used to get together for pay-per-views and stuff. And now, you know, since we got families and kids, and you know, he still watches wrestling, but he's not nearly as into it as I shouldn't say not as into it. Like he watches it, he's into watching it, but he's not as like he's not online finding out what's happening behind the scenes and everything. He watches the shows and he really likes the shows. And whenever we get together, we always talk about wrestling, but we talk about what we see on screen. We don't talk about what's going on behind the scenes or anything like that. And he's got different tastes. So he's in and out on AEW. And so I asked him, you know, like, oh, have you been keeping up on AEW lately? And he's like, no, not really. He says, ever since this tournament started, I'm just not into it. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, no, you know, it's the same guys every week, and I don't really care about these belts. And you know, the matches are good, but I don't really care. And
Okay.
okay. And I says, well, you know, you should watch Rampage. I said, because Rampage, you know, it's a quick hour. The matches aren't too long. The matches are usually really good. He's like, yeah, but every time I watch Rampage, I see like the Kingo or Commander, and I don't care.
Okay.
So he's that fan.
These are valid criticisms, I think, too. I mean, look, the tournament was good, but the tournament was a love letter to the people who really love AEW. I mean, it really was, and a lot of the great stuff on it that might get this guy who's a fan was done on social media. I think the promos and stuff would have been really compelling to a lot of people.
Well, and the other thing is that the tournament is really sports based. So I think it appeals to sports fans. And my buddy is not a sports fan. Like he watches soccer, he watches Toronto FC. That's it. That's all the sports he watches. He doesn't watch hockey, doesn't watch football, basketball, none of it. Baseball, just Toronto FC soccer. That's it. So he's not a sports guy. If you look at the ratings for Collision on Saturday, I noticed they increased every single week of this tournament. And Saturday is TNT. So I do believe that this tournament and programming like this does appeal to a sports fan that might be watching TNT, which is not my buddy, which is fine. But it makes you wonder though, like that match. I agree. Like Vikingo and Tarus was awesome.
Yeah.
It was. Did you see their Ring of Honor match?
Back in the day, yeah, I did. I believe.
No, like a week ago.
Oh no, not that one.
Okay.
I'm thinking of like a multi-person match that they were in.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dave said that it was not as good as that, and I don't know if I agree. They were completely different matches, believe it or not, and they were both awesome. So I wouldn't put one ahead of the other. I actually gave them the same rating, but they were completely different. Which, you know, because one was on TV and one was on pay-per-view, so they had to work it differently. And I thought both were great, and I hope they sign Tarus. And I never would say that normally because I think they got enough people, but he stands out.
We can sign Tarus. We just need to figure out what to do with luchadors in this company.
Well,
as opposed to making them cannon fodder all the time, unless they're wrestling each other.
Exactly, yeah. Because Commander, I mean, yeah, he's there to
Commander, Vikingo, Bandito.
Vikingo probably wins more than he loses, but I mean, Commander loses all the time.
Commander loses all the time. Bandito loses
maybe
all
Tarus
the
is going to replace Luchasaurus. I don't know. Like,
could be.
You know,
sure.
Seem to kind of be the same kind of character. You know, and yeah. So, but yeah, that was a great match. The three tournament matches on Saturday were great. The Collision matches. I didn't really think they needed to do a draw with Danielson Claudio, but they did. I mean, it didn't really mean anything. Danielson could have just beat him, like it would have been the same. So I would have preferred if a draw actually meant like it affected the results in some way. But
yeah, I think they just did a draw to do a draw.
Well, so that Danielson didn't have to beat his buddy, I guess.
Right, that too.
Yeah. And main
but
event
it was like, we've
great.
gone this whole tournament without doing a draw. Let's do it here.
Exactly. I would have done it in the Garcia Brody King match, honestly.
Yeah, and I would have done it in Lethal and Briscoe.
Right, and you called for that, and that would have both those would have been fine. Garcia beating Brody should have been a big deal, but then he ends up getting attacked after the match, and it's all just a setup for House of Black and FTR, and Garcia's being, you know, like covered by jobber Matt Menard. Like, yeah, I don't see how that helped Garcia at all, but We'll see.
No, and I liked the idea of having Garcia be Jericho's tag partner, and then that got kind of kiboshed this week. So yeah.
We'll talk about that in a bit. I got a lot to say about that segment. I'll tell you that. But
do you?
Okay. Yeah. I was fit to be tied.
There you go. That's what we call a tease, kids.
I thought that this show, like tonight, you know how Dave Meltzer and others will always say that 90 minutes is the perfect length for a wrestling show. You've heard that before, right?
Yes, I have heard that. Yes.
Yeah. If they would have shut this show off at 90 minutes, it would have been a perfect wrestling show. That's what I'm saying, because everything after the 90-minute mark was, I wouldn't say maybe everything. And there was like something in the middle before the 90-minute mark that I didn't like too much, but the closing thing we'll get to as well. But I don't know. You want to talk about the show now?
Yes.
All right. AEW Dynamite, the go home show for Saturday's first ever World's End pay-per-view from Long Island. And this was in Orlando, I believe.
It was at UCF, University of Central Florida.
All right. So they're basically their home base. Well, no, I guess Jacksonville's the home base. And this is, I think they had a subtitle for this show too. I don't know. New Year's Bash, maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's next week.
I thought New Year's Bash was next week, but you might be right.
Yeah, who knows? Doesn't matter. It was basically the Continental Classic Finals was the selling point of this show, and really the bulk of the show. This show had the least amount of wrestling matches on it of any match of any show in Dynamite history, I believe, and that includes when they would do a 1 hour blood and guts match. But we'll talk about that a bit too, and I didn't really realize it until the end of the show. But we started out with the Gold League final. Three-way match, Swerve Strickland, Jay White, and John Moxley. And the announcers pointed out no time limit in these finals matches. And Shivani pointed out how, they're not allowed seconds at ringside. So Nana can do his stupid dance, but then he's got to get out of here. I kind of like that. And they start brawling into the crowd. And I'm like, I'm fit to like get upset about, the fact that nobody's being counted out. And then I realized, oh yeah, it can't be counted out. It's a three-way. So they're brawling outside for like 5 minutes. Swerve's biting Mox's head. They go up into the stands. It's like Mox and Swerve are having this brawl, and Jay White keeps trying to interrupt it, and then they just kind of chase him away like a mosquito. And eventually, after about 5 minutes of being outside, White and Swerve end up back in the ring. And they go to a break after Mox gets taken out, and they come back in, and Mox is still out. And White and Swerve are brawling, and then Mox came back, took them all out with a suicide dive. He's biting Swerve's head, and then he's going for stuff. They just went on and on. They're going nuts. Jay White kept bringing in a chair, and he got slammed in the back by Jay White, and then Jay White knocked out Swerve. White slammed Mox's knee with the chair, so they kept working over the knee, but it didn't really play into the finish at all.
Yes.
But he was like working it over, and that was kind of the story of the tournament. So that was his weakness. Crowd was totally behind Swerve for most of this. There's a great spot where Swerve kicked out White's knee, and he hit the house call, the power bomb, and a 450 splash. But Mox broke it up with a stomp, and then we go to another commercial. And we almost never do two commercials during an AEW match. So this is, this kind of telling you that's a special one. So they come back in. Mox got a sleeper on. Swerve broke it up with another house call. White went for a Blade Runner, but Swerve got away. White hit the Blade Runner on Mox, which is what he used to beat him last week. But Swerve broke it up. Fans are chanting "Fight Forever." White went and got a chair again, smashed Mox in the back a few times, and Swerve in the gut. Ref was trying to get him to stop, but White was just ignoring him. Put it between the turnbuckles. And then, of course, it's the old you smelt it, you dealt it rule. So he ends up getting thrown into that chair. And then it's Mox and Swerve. Mox gets a sleeper on. Swerve rolls him up with a handful of tights. Mox kicks out. They start slapping each other. Crowd is just going apeshit at this point. Swerve took him down with a clothesline. Swerve went for the MJL driver, but Mox bit him. Swerve went to the top, and he's going to go for the stomp, but White tossed him off the top rope out to the outside. And then he went for the Blade Runner, but Mox took him down with a lariat, hit a Death Rider, and got the pin. And because Jay White had thrown Swerve to the outside, he couldn't make it back in to break it up. Thought this match was outstanding. Loved it. I thought it was one of the best matches in Dynamite history, honestly, until later on tonight.
I really liked the match. I think of all the ideas Lance Storm has had over the years of me listening to him, I think the idea that you can be DQ'd in a 3-way dance and then have the other two people just go about the match is the best one he's ever had. And I'd really have loved it in this case because you put the fatal flaw to me in this match, in which Tony Schiavone is praising the fact that nobody can come down to ringside and interfere. Yet this is no DQ.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, this would have been the match to cheat in that if you could do that, because hey, we've now made it a 3-way, and yes, people would have turned on it immediately. Don't get me wrong; it's not something I wanted. It's just the logical consistency is what I want. Yeah, and I also, I mean, that was my big note was your thing was that there was no real through line in this match other than Moxley's knee, and then it didn't play any part in the finish to the match, which seemed odd to me, unless they're saving it for the finals. But if they don't save it for the finals, then what is the point of the working over the knee? That's the other logical inconsistency I see here coming. But yeah, I kind of it and again, the problem with 3-ways and multi-person matches is you have to establish relationships between all three of the pairs, and the one that it really did not establish for me was the Jay White Swerve thing. No. I mean, yeah, Swerve and Moxley had their thing, and White and Moxley had their thing, but we never really got, any sort of. I mean, we got moves put on people. We really didn't get a through line for White and Swerve, at least in terms of this match.
The only one was that during that first commercial break, I think they worked together for most.
Yeah, they worked together for a bit, and that was fine. But yeah, overall, I mean, yeah, if in terms of pure work, yes, this was a very fun match, and I liked it a lot. But I thought it lacked a little bit of drama. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it lacked a little bit of drama. I thought it was inevitable that Mox was going to win this.
To be clear, Jason, he says, I might be prisoner of the moment. Yeah, for sure. But I didn't say the best. I just said one of the best.
There's nothing wrong with prisoner of the moment takes from Paul. It makes for good audio. Let's do this.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, there was a lot of those 6-man matches at the beginning of the year that were, as good or better than this. Like when the Death Triangle and the Elite, those matches were incredible too.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I did like, and we'll get to this in a moment. I did like how they followed up on it with at least one of the losers in the match. I thought maybe they should follow it up with the other loser in the match too, just to keep it kind of consistent. But yeah, no other notes.
Yeah, I mean, Jay White, what's next for him? I mean, I don't know what this tournament did for him. Like he just lost his world title match, and now he's gotten beaten a couple times in this tournament. I don't even know why they bothered putting him in this final, to be honest with you, but I guess so he could take the pin.
I think that's it. And if you're going to do that, I think Jay White should have looked a lot stronger in this match.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem with, booking to a smart fan base like this. Like you should have just beat, like they could have just beat Swerve in the first match or Moxley in the first match and then had Mox get his win back here. And he could have cheated to win, just, or tried to cheat, like he did in the first match. But then he gets foiled or something, like something like that, or Swerve cheats to win in the first match. I don't know, like something like that.
Yeah, because the most obvious end of this match was Swerve winning while holding the tights. That's
exactly. And actually, they did a great near fall,
and that was a great spot. No, I liked that spot a lot. I liked the callback, but at the same time, I also thought, well, that should probably be the finish.
Yeah. Actually, no, because you're actually also trying to turn Swerve babyface, kind of. So what you would do is you would have Mox try to cheat in the first match and it backfires, and then Swerve wins in the first match, and then in this match he actually does cheat and holds it tight and gets the win. So the same way he won the first match, he wins here instead after getting pinned in the first match, and then you've got him going against Eddie and showing that he'll do anything to win. And that heats up the match with Eddie as well.
Oh, we did not pin Swerve, so mission accomplished.
Well, not this time, but they pinned him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Mox left through the crowd, and he's going to face the winner of Danielson versus Kingston on Saturday for the Triple Crown. We got a great video package for Saturday's collision matches, and the key takeaway was Danielson calling him a bum and Kingston saying that this bum is going to the finals.
Did you watch these promos in their entirety?
I did not.
I did. And
okay.
boy, I wish they had played the entire Danielson one. Because
Oh, yeah?
he goes into, there's going to be that moment in the match where you throw up the middle finger to me.
Oh.
And I'm going to laugh. Yeah, and he goes into how that's really a sign of surrender for Eddie Kingston. Because instead of trying to win, he's using all of your energy to flip me off, et cetera, et cetera. It was possibly the best Bryan Danielson promo since he's been in AEW. And while I liked the edited things and I liked the highlight package, both those promos were fantastic as a whole. And I wish they had shown the entirety of that Danielson promo because it would have made the match make a lot more sense
just from what you said, because there was that spot.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the reason I don't watch these, I mean, number one is time, but I found that sometimes I don't think they're as good as some people tell me they are.
I just fell on it. So
no, and I'm sure with Danielson and Kingston they were. There's a Moxley one early in the tournament that everyone was raving about, and I watched and I was like, this sucks. And so I'm like, I kind of didn't watch them anymore after that. But then when I watch the edited versions, they look great. So that's why I'm saying, like I like, the music behind it and the action, and while they're talking, like I think maybe it's just my attention span. I don't know. But we got Tony Schiavone backstage with Swerve and Nana, and Swerve was mad because he didn't have time to rest. He said, my arm's falling off my body. I wanted this so bad. He said, this classic breathed life into this business. I proved I'm one of the best in this company. I'm one of the best in this whole damn industry, if not the best. I didn't get pinned. And now I hear someone's looking for me. Keith Lee, you say that I'm him? Well, that's the first thing we agree on in over a year. You want me? I got nothing to do in Long Island, but are you going to be there? And Schiavone says, well, I happen to have a contract for you. And Nana gets mad because he hasn't approved it yet. And Swerve says, we'll see if Keith Lee even shows up on Saturday. And they do that. And then like 2 seconds later, they announce that the match is happening. So I guess they signed the contract pretty quick.
Well, they gave him the contract to look over. That's the
but I mean, I guess Tony just assumes everyone's going to sign it.
I believe it is in bad taste to use Carmelo Hayes' catchphrase on AEW. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I will agree with that, and especially since the devil does it too.
Yeah, I kind of liked. I liked this at least. I think they should have just done it in the locker room. Just have Swerve recovering and go, hey, can we get a word here? And also, you have this thing as opposed to I wasn't ready for. It just makes it look kind of.
This did not need Nana.
It didn't need Nana, and it didn't need the I wasn't ready for an interview, but they're putting a microphone in my face anyways to do some time.
Well, and if you are going to do that, have them show up in the
part of your room. It's part of your job here, kids.
Yeah.
So that was the only part that it just kind of took me out a little bit of it, but no, this is fine.
And and you can say whatever, like you're doing this on a couple days notice, but they've been building this for a while.
I also think Keith Lee should have been there.
Yes, and he promised he was going to be here, so I don't know. Maybe he couldn't make it. Maybe we'll probably find out. Maybe there's travel issues or something, or something, family problems or whatever. Who knows? We always find this stuff out after the fact because we record immediately after the show. Yeah. We went to the back with remarkable Rene, or no, it wasn't the back. It was on the stage with Mariah May, and she gets her own entrance. And Rene asked her to explain how she brutally attacked Rio last week. And then she says, well, this brutal attack that you call it was just me supporting the greatest star of our time, Tony Storm. And the crowd hadn't really reacted to her at all, but they cheered when she mentioned Tony. And she says, and then Rene asked her, well, you have an announcement? She goes, yes, I do have an announcement. She says, I don't feel that 2023 has had the right energy. So my debut is going to be on the first Dynamite of the new year. And the crowd boos that because I guess they expected they were going to see her tonight. 2024 is all about Mariah. So she's stealing Emma's catchphrase. Rio runs out and Mariah runs away, but she runs into the ring. And so Rio's stalking this large woman. I don't mean, you know what I mean? Like she's like half the size of Mariah. Yes. And Tony makes a save. And but every time they cut back to Tony, the screen goes black and white, and it's beyond ridiculous at this point. Tony, but Rio fights her off, and she's about to hit her with a 619, but Luther pulled her out of the way. And then Rio took them both out with a dive off the top. And Mariah got away unscathed, and she consoles Tony. And somewhere in here, Taz laughed and called himself the human duplex machine again.
This is classic. I hate go home build in terms of, well, we're gonna beat Riho, so we need her to look on top for the final segment before the show. This was ass. I'm sorry. This was absolute ass. I hated it. And Mariah May did not pull off the disingenuous, I'm going to have a match in 2024 thing well at all. This was poorly executed, poorly scripted. I didn't like it.
I'm not blown away by Mariah May so far. I will tell you that. I'll wait and see how she is in the ring, but to me, she looks like a low rent version of Tiffany Stratton, but that's.
I'm not going to go that far. I just think the introduction was poor, and I think her being, I mean, we're all waiting for. It's weird because we're trying to turn two heels babyface at the same time. We're trying to turn Swerve babyface, and I think they're actually going to try and turn Tony babyface off of the Mariah May character.
Jason made a great point here. Going from supporting the biggest star, Tony Storm, to declaring that 2024 will be all about Mariah was contradictory. So yeah, there is that too. I mean, what is she?
You know, if they hire a continuity guy, that'd be no. Yeah, I just we're just waiting for Mariah to attack Tony.
Yeah.
And it's one of those weird things, but Tony's still a heel. She's still very much a heel in this Riho story. And it's like, okay. You know, it's just
all the women right now seem to be like in the middle of churns.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
you know,
They're all mid-story and mid-turn, because then we have the thing with Parker and Ruby and everybody's falling in love, and it's like, okay. Yeah.
Josiah tells me that Mariah is a far better worker than Tiffany.
Yeah, you went out on that ledge you went on that ledge on your own. I did not come with you.
No, but I've never seen her work. So all I'm basing it on is what I've seen on screen so far. And she's been in AEW for like 2 months now.
No, the introduction should have been that she's a big star and that she keeps putting off her debut, and there shouldn't have been anything having to do with the Tony Storm character.
Yeah, and I was strictly talking about the character.
Yeah,
I'm not, because I have no opinion on her ring work because I've never seen it. So, I've literally, the first time I saw her, I think I may have seen a picture of her at some point, but the first time I saw her in person was when I saw her on AEW television. So, all right, we go to the back, and it's Top Flight and Action Andretti. Oh my God, this was great. And by that I mean this was.
Come on, I'm gonna grade on a curve on this one, but go ahead.
Okay, if you want to grade it on a Top Flight Action Andretti curve, yeah,
I do. I would like to. Thank you.
They said they came up short. I mean, this was a missed opportunity. They should have beaten the Acclaimed. They absolutely should have.
I don't disagree. I mean, I don't. Yeah. The Acclaimed don't need the 6-man belts.
Nope. And these guys would have great matches with a bunch of different teams, and they probably still will, but they just won't be for belts. So they came up short, but we're not taking it to heart. There's plenty of other teams out there. So they said, we're going to throw out a challenge. And then Orange Cassidy and his buddies walk in, and Trent says, what are you doing throwing out a challenge? We're 5 feet away from you. And then so they said, Orange says, we'll see you Friday. And then him and Trent walk away, and Rocky says, he did the same thing to me last week. And it's just to remind the crowd, the audience, that this is a replay of the angle that they did last week. And then Action Andretti pulls out a water bottle, guzzles it, and crushes the bottle on his head and says, hydration.
I found this somewhat endearing. I did. I love that Action Andretti and Top Flight are pure baby faces, and then someone takes offense to them just being pure baby faces, like Orange Cassidy. So they're sitting there weird, and then Rocky has to basically explain, yeah, they're kind of off. They're just kind of weird, and they do these types of things. And then it's like, Action Andretti, hey, you know what? I got an idea for this spot. You know what I can do? You know what my secret talent is? I can drink an entire 16.9 ounce bottle of water in like one gulp and crush the bottle. And everybody's like, All right, let's do it now. Let's show some personality on the screen.
And it's one of those folding up bottles. They have the ridges.
Like I'm hoping next week one member of Top Flight can like take like balls and spit them in the air and juggle them or something like that. I'm hoping we can just get a bunch of stupid human tricks.
I want somebody to give him a Dasani bottle and see if he can crush that one.
You want to kill him for water poisoning on week 2 of the gimmick. Stop it.
Sure. I like having Josiah here because he's so positive, and I'm glad Josiah is watching and listening. So
yeah, well, Josiah and I are simpatico on this. You're a hater of fun, Paul Fontaine.
I just put the segment over.
Why do you hate laughs?
Who's gonna win though? That's the key. They gotta beat these best friends.
Oh, Trent has taken this loss.
You think?
Trent or Rocky has taken this loss, and I'm fine with that.
And maybe that sets up Darius.
And it's gonna set up one of them to face Orange Cassidy for that.
Dante for sure. He's the best. Well, maybe Action.
We might have an orange juice versus water battle.
Oh, there you go. You know what? You're onto something there. They cut to the back, and Christian is getting ready for an interview. He's got Nick and Shayna with him, and he doesn't know who Lexi is. Oh, by the way, he's now calling Shayna Mother Wayne. And Shayna is going on and on in her interview about how can you boo a mother? Calling herself a mother. You know what this is, right? They are trying to get the fans to start chanting mother fucker.
That's fine.
Christian. And
I'm
it's going to
happen.
This.
I am fine with this.
Totally going to happen.
Because of course the censor will have no clue what to do with it on Dynamite. Nope. It's on there. This has to be on the pay-per-view.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it's there. I mean, it's right there. And I do like
the matriarch of the patriarchy. I think that's a clever line.
And I love Nick Wayne's reaction whenever Nick talks about banging his mother. It's like it's so awkward and it's so wonderful. And they're a great power couple. But yeah, nothing
the
really.
The smoking jacket on Christian was ridiculous, and I love it.
Yeah, and Shayna's just there in her pompous best. It's great. She didn't do anything here.
And Lexi is sneaky. One of the most improved people in AEW this year.
Well, if you say so.
I do.
You know what?
Great comedic timing.
I signed up for Honor Club because of the pay-per-view, and I've been watching the last couple episodes. That freaking Honor Club show is the hardest television show to watch. Like, I'm not talking wrestling show. I'm talking television show. It is
not a fan of the minions in training, are you?
2 hours of no commercials and just match, bad promo.
It's Jeff Hawkins on Dark Elevation and Dark, which I found impossible to watch.
But with more promos that aren't any good.
Well, they're trying.
I highly recommend Honor Club for my listeners here. It's only $10 a month, so you're getting your money's worth. That's for damn sure. We got a tape Miro promo. He's doubting himself. He thought wrestling poisoned her, but she's poisoning him. He promised to leave Andrade alone while the tournament was going on. He says, but I don't want to fight him because he's his wife's client. I want to fight him because he's an asshole. And that match is happening on Saturday. That was it.
Okay.
They didn't even need a contract.
Does the winner or the loser get to go back to WWE?
Andrade gets to go back to WWE. It doesn't matter which one.
Maybe. I don't. There's a part of me that wants them to be a team. I really do. I like both these guys. I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of this match. I think it's gonna be far more of a hoss fight than anybody would ever imagine because, again, Andrade wants to be a meat guy.
Is this the meat match?
This might be a sneaky meat match. Yeah,
fans chanting meat. Why is it that all of Miro's feuds we would rather see him teaming with the guy he's wrestling? You notice that?
Because we like Miro a lot and his promos are great, and it's like he doesn't really hate the guy. It's because his wife is always involved.
I still want that Miro Hobbs team, but I don't think I'm ever gonna get it. Yeah.
I don't understand Miro in AEW. I don't understand his place in this company at all.
Miro?
Yeah.
No, I mean just to have good matches, I guess, but I don't even know if they have a plan for him. I think the plan
that's my problem is I don't think they have a plan for him. He's just there, and then it's like it's back to him talking to spirits or or what? I mean, he's had this argument with God. I get that. I mean, we all do.
No, he's
But-
done with God. He
Oh, is
rebuked
he?
God. Yeah.
Well, and now he's arguing with his wife.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Who is his new God?
Yes.
His new goddess. Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, him and God, they finished that feud already.
Okay.
I think they had a match. We didn't see it.
Oh God.
Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and it's a celebration for Boxing Week, and he says this with disdain. And I couldn't figure out where this was going, but I should have, because there were 4 easels set up behind him, and the fans knew because they started groaning as soon as he said Boxing Week, because Boxing Week is a Canadian holiday. It's like your own Black Friday, as Taz explained. It's different than Christmas, and it's like Black Friday. That was hilarious. But he calls out Don Callis and his family, and he was not happy to be doing it. Taz pointed out there's a lot of Canadians in Florida, so they probably celebrate Boxing Week. And there's 4 paintings set up. Fans are chanting "F you, Callis." I noticed that Kyle Fletcher has a belt. I'm not sure if they've explained what belt that is, but it is the ROH television title that Samoa Joe used to have, that he threw on the ground, and now Kyle Fletcher proudly carries. He stole the mic from Tony's hand, and he says, "There's been a lot of stuff going outside the wrestling business, family stuff. It's been a difficult 2 weeks for me." Not sure what he's talking about. Maybe
I wasn't sure either. I thought he might have had a death in the family or something, or was it the Kenny stuff?
It might be the Kenny stuff.
Okay.
I mean, because maybe, like, that's legit and he's not going to address it.
Just as a sidebar to distract us for a moment.
Could be.
No. I meant the Taz thing on what the explanation of Boxing Day. I was trying to figure out what it reminded me of, and it's Albert Brooks on The Simpsons playing the French guy Jacques talking about brunch.
Oh, okay.
It's not quite breakfast. It's not quite lunch, but it comes with a slice of cantaloupe at the end. You don't get completely what you would at breakfast, but you get a good meal.
There you go. So yeah, he says, it's been a difficult 2 weeks for me, guys. You know what I'm talking about. But he says, at times like this, you need your family, and I couldn't have got through it without my family. So as a way of saying thank you, and in honoring Boxing Week, I've gotten you Boxing Week gifts. So he unleashes the first painting, and it's a painting of him and Powerhouse Hobbs, and Callis is, just jacked to the gills and
throwing up the West Side sign.
Yeah. And
absolutely the most Caucasian thing you can possibly do in a photo. But yeah,
Powerhouse Hobbs is just happy as a cat in poop, and fans are chanting "Shut the F up." And Takeshita gets his painting. This one, Callis looks like Batista. He's even got like the 2 tribal tattoos on his
he would not pass a wellness exam. Yes.
No, he would not. And then they got another one, and it's for Kyle, and they're in Australia beating up kangaroos.
This was the best. This was the best by far.
In this one, he's got no tattoos. And
I love that Taz says, "Oh, he lost his tattoos."
Yeah, just ridiculous. And before they can get to the 4th painting, Sammy Guevara comes out, and I'm like, oh no. I know where this is
going.
Knew it
as soon as he came out too, didn't we? Yeah.
And I don't like it, because I mean, literally the last time we saw him, he turned on Jericho. And then here we are. So Callis says it's like Christmas all over again, and Sammy stopped him. Crowd's chanting Sammy. He says, "Long time no talk, Don." And then Don says, "Did you get the gift I sent you and the kid?" And that's Sammy's like, "No." And Don blames the Canadian Postal Service. And he says, "I'm glad you're here. We're doing gifts for Boxing Day, and I've been hauling this around for 2 months on the off chance you're going to show up for work." And then Excalibur points out, "You said you had them made for Boxing Week." And Sammy, he says, what did he say? Oh yeah. So Sammy pulled it off, and pulls off the thing, and he says, "It's the whole family together." And it's Callis, and it's Fletcher, and it's Hobbs, and Takeshita, and then you got Sammy in the front, and he's holding his baby, and everyone's smiling. And then it's actually really nice. But Sammy's mad. He says, "Who told you to put my baby in that?" And then Callis looks at him. He says, "Look at it again. Your whole family is on the painting." And the fans are chanting "You effed up."
Was it Will Ospreay in the family painting or no?
No, he was not.
Okay.
And who else wasn't in his whole family was Ty. But they didn't really bring her up. But he says, "You're not exactly mentally capable of being a parent, and you need all the help you can get." Callis is just brilliant at this. And Josiah points out that he thought it was going to be Garcia, clearly a pivot due to Omega. They had to pivot. I just don't like going back to Garcia. They could have done something else.
I thought this was an utter lack of originality and creativity. I really do. I think you go with an out of the box choice and you try and figure it out or something.
Well, because the problem is like, again, how many times are we supposed to buy these churns? How many times has Sammy turned?
Sammy has turned 3 or 4. Sammy is Paul Orndorff in this company.
Big Show, yeah. And then Jericho just accepting it. So now when Sammy turns on him again,
yes,
Jericho's the idiot. And if Jericho turns on him, well, it's deserved because Sammy just turned on him. So, unless they stay together for the next 10 years, which is not going to happen. But Sammy continues. He says, "You're worried about my parenting." I said, "You need to be worried about leaving this group." And he points out, Hobbs, look at what Hobbs has done. He beat Jericho twice. Takeshita beat Omega twice. Hobbs beat Jericho. Kyle Fletcher won the title. And I guess, here's where they mentioned it was the ROH title. And he says, "But no one remembers it because you made this all about you." He said, "Lots of people messaged me while I was concussed, but I didn't hear anything from you." And then Callis says, "Well, you're disappointed that I didn't call you. I'm disappointed that you dropped the ball and didn't show up for work for 5 months because you were hurt and having babies and on maternity leave." I like that because it's really only about 2 months. And he says, "Are you going to choose your other family or the Don Callis family? But Sammy, I know you're a hothead, so before you answer, if you answer wrong, you're going to be remembered as just a big failure as a wrestler as you're about to be as a parent." And that was enough for Sammy. So he rushes Callis, and the family attacked him. And before too long, Jericho's music hits. He makes a save. He's got his bat. He destroyed all the paintings. Fans are chanting, "Hug it out." So they're about to shake hands, and then Sammy goes in for a hug. And Big Bill and Ricky Starks attacked. And they beat on him for a while. And it was actually getting a little long. Then the lights went out. And I'm like, I was expecting the House of Black. I'll be honest with you. I figured it was going to be House of Black, FTR. Might as well just throw all these things together.
I thought it might be House of Black as well.
Yeah. But it was not. It was Sting and Darby. And it's like, wow, okay. We haven't seen Darby in a while. And they attacked Ricky and Bill. And I figured, okay, they're doing a 3-way at the pay-per-view for the tag belts. But no. Because I figured like Sting and Darby have never been beaten as a team. So they really do deserve a tag team title shot. But nope. It's going to be an 8-man, which we found out later.
Here's something that I've been thinking about, and I just lost my thought as I'm thinking about it. Sammy was right in a lot of ways in that promo. We have completely forgotten what a big deal these wins over Omega should have been for Takeshita.
Yep.
And what the wins over Jericho should have meant for Hobbs. And now they're just guys who work for Don Callis. And
barely.
And I like
to ever see them.
Yeah, we haven't seen them in a while because of this tournament mostly. But also on that front, I like Callis. Don't get me wrong. I think he's one of the most compelling promos in AEW in a company that doesn't have a lot of good promo guys. But you take him and you take the reinsertion of Stokely Hathaway this week, and you take Smart Mark Sterling. And this is a point I've brought up before. We need a serious heel manager in AEW. Not just a goof trying to get laughs. We need a Gary Hart in some ways. And we're not getting it. And I think that also hurts the heels in a lot of ways. And that's why we're constantly doing turns.
Christian could be that
close.
But he's a wrestler.
And he also likes the laugh line in there that he can get. Just a no nonsense heel manager is what I'm
I thought Callis was going to be that, but
I did too. But he's such a dope at times, like in terms of the beatdown, he like pretends like he hurt his ankle stomping Sammy. So
Jason points out the one thing that AEW loves more than doing nothing with people after big wins is to point out how people have done nothing after big wins. Shooting themselves in the foot.
I'm going to hire Jason as my writer for this show from now on because, that's.
Oh, there was one moment that ruined a perfect promo later, which, I mean, it didn't ruin it. I shouldn't, that is very much overstating it, but it was a completely unnecessary line, which we'll get to, but stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like we're gonna eventually have. I mean, I would love it if Bill and Starks join the Callis family
That's interesting. I never thought of that, but
as
I
their designated tag team.
you brought up the tournament, and I mean, I don't know why none of these guys were in the tournament. Like, I mean,
We're saving them for this big Omega angle.
well,
Oh, you're
that's
gonna
it.
love
I
it.
mean,
You're gonna
that's
love
probably
it.
it. Yeah,
And
that's
Omega
probably
goes
it. And then
down.
they couldn't happen. I mean, and to be fair, they had no idea that was going to happen. So, backstage is Rene with Roddy in the Kingdom, and they got a painting too. Oh, I mean, it wasn't a painting, but it was behind an easel right after we just saw this, and I thought that was weird. But they pull it out, they pull off the thing, and it's the Beautiful Mind board with
No,
all
it's
the
it's
different.
the meme. It's the meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, okay, but they got that from Beautiful Mind, didn't they?
Okay.
I
Sure.
mean, it's all roads lead to the middle, and it's it's also from what's that Showtime show with the girl from the blonde. Oh
Homeland?
God, yes, like that chick with the bipolar.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so bad. I can't remember her name, but I watched every episode of the show. But yeah,
I want to call her
it's
Claire, but that's not her name.
that is no, you're right.
Oh,
No, her actor's name is Claire Danes.
Claire Danes. Thank you.
Yeah. But no, it's basically it's a board, and it's got a bunch of devil candidates, and he says, what is he? He says somebody's not
Don
the devil.
Dean? No.
Don Dean's not the devil. He said the swervy guy with the bad teeth. I killed myself with that one. Definitely not him. And it's MJF is the devil. And he says, Roddy says he's going to prove Max is the devil tonight or tomorrow. It doesn't matter. And he screams, Max is the devil. And he throws down his pointer. And I'm not exactly sure what the point of this was. I guess it was a red herring.
The point was to get Roddy to start shouting random things.
Yeah, I guess. I did like the thing on on Collision. I think it was Collision or Rampage, where Roddy was going down the aisle and he's talking to the different fans and what's your name? And so Kevin from the Boom is telling this story, and he says, so he's going down the ramp and he says to the one fan, Kevin, or he says, what's your name? And the guy says Kevin, and he says, Kevin. He says, you're an idiot. And then he like goes to somewhere else. And then James just asked him, he says, was that you? I just thought it was hilarious.
Random burials by James McDaniel. Yes.
Yeah, like like there's only one Kevin in the crowd, but the fact that he called him an idiot, I guess, is why James just assumed it was Kevin Healy. That's not what he meant, but that's how it came off, and I just killed myself laughing when Kevin told that story. We got a rundown for World's End. It's MJF and Samoa Joe for the AEW title. Tony versus Riho. Swerve and Keith Lee. Andrade El Idolo versus Miro. Julia Hart versus Abaddon for the TBS title. Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland for the TNT title. Jon Moxley versus the winner of Danielson and Eddie Kingston for the Continental Classic Championship, as well as the Modern American Triple Crown. Did I get all that branding right? I think
yes,
I did.
I think you did.
Yeah. All right. And that match is next. So is Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston in a Blue League final. And let me just see how long. Okay. Yeah. I wrote down a lot here. Let me just say these two beat the shit out of each other. And it was wonderful. And it's funny because the announcers were talking about how Eddie Kingston takes a beating and nobody takes a beating like him. And as they're telling that, I'm watching Eddie Kingston beat the shit out of Danielson. So I'm like, I'm not sure what exactly they were watching, but I mean, not to say that Danielson didn't beat on him too, but while they were saying that, it was the exact opposite was happening on the screen. But the crowd was 100% behind Eddie. They were chanting, let's go, Eddie. There's a dueling chant that I couldn't make out at first, but the announcers actually explained it. It was, let's go, Eddie. He's no bum. Let's go, Eddie. He's no bum. So it was like, no Danielson. Danielson does the yes kicks at one point, which normally will get the fans going, yes, yes. They're chanting, no, no, no. Like Danielson, he does near the end, he does the, I'm going to kick his head in. And normally the fans will chant along or they'll scream. They booed. Josiah, did they do an ad break? Yes, they did 2 ad breaks. They went through 2 breaks, which they almost never do. There match was glorious. There was a great story in the match. Danielson was working over Eddie's arm. At one point, Eddie was fighting with one hand. There was Danielson hit the Basaka knee near the end, and it would normally be the finish. The announcers didn't even point this out, but Eddie got his arm up and blocked the kick partially. So that's why it didn't get a finish. And I thought it was brilliant. And the announcers didn't even point it out, which was great. Eddie chopped the crap out of Danielson. His chest was beat red by the end of it. Kingston was just the best babyface ever. There was a couple spots where Danielson was just beating on him. Eddie looked like he was out, like his eyes were rolling in the back of his head. The ref was asking him, "Are you out?" The second time this happened was after the kick his head in spot, and he was out on the ground. And the ref's like, "Are you there, Eddie? Can you continue?" And that's where Eddie stuck up his middle finger, and that was key spot that you had talked about. And that's when the fans started chanting Eddie. And then Brian charged at him, and then Eddie hit him with the back fist and a half and half suplex. Goes for another back fist. Danielson blocked it. Then Eddie spun around, hit another one, then another one. Then he hit a power bomb and a stack cover and got the win. This match was freaking incredible. I give it 5 stars. I feel like I might have underrated it. It was unreal. This match may have been the best match in Dynamite history. I'll say. I don't think the first one was, but actually, I still like Danielson Garcia better, like from last year. I love that match so much. But this was unbelievable.
Bryan Danielson was a fantastic heel in this match.
Mm-hmm.
The constant taunting and the constant talking and the constant he was doing crowd work.
Oh, yeah.
During this match, and it was so great. I have been somewhat critical of Eddie Kingston at times because to me, he's far more of a presence than a wrestler. There were some small things in here he did that were absolutely fantastic. Like there's a part where he's doing the yes kicks and he's setting them up, and Kingston has this look of just being absolutely miserable being in the ring at that moment. And I thought that was such a great thing. And I don't know if that was a real moment where it's like, God, I gotta take these effing kicks and I don't want to do them. But at the same time, you're watching it going, like, Eddie Kingston, if he could do a pivot away from invoking his mental issues every time he does a promo and pivot to being blue collar solid, could be Dusty Rhodes in this federation. He might already be.
If he was 10 years younger, he would be.
Yeah. He's a little bit older, too old to do it.
He's more 42. Terry Funk. He's more Terry Funk in ECW, maybe.
See, I think the All Japan Superfan thing hurts him a little bit because he's not as good as all of his heroes. And I think he's clearly inspired by them, and he's clearly inspired by him. But the stuff he does that's inspired by him looks sloppy at times.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you take the good with the bad. But yeah, no, this match was great. Him turning Danielson's chest into hamburger was fantastic.
Yeah.
More chops from these guys, please. More chops. But yes, the utter look of misery from Kingston is the thing I took from this match. I go, that's such a real moment where it's like you're getting your ass beat and it's not going to stop. And here's a little bit more ass beaten for you.
and you know what we didn't? You know what we didn't see at the end of this? We didn't see Danielson kick out at 3.1.
And we didn't see a handshake, which was fine with me too.
And Danielson laid on the ground for minutes after.
Sold it. He sold the beating, which was nice.
Yeah. No. This is unreal. And it
really
got better.
Yeah. No. And then this follow up thing was fantastic too.
Yeah. So my thing is I write down these promos and I try to recreate them, and I'm gonna try here, but I'm gonna fail. But I wrote down some stuff. So Mox comes out to confront Eddie, and I like that he stopped to check on Danielson first, which was a nice touch. And Danielson rolls out of the ring, and Moxie's got a mic, and crowd's chanting for Eddie, and Eddie's like, "Speak your mind, let's go." And then Mox says, "All right." He says, "All I've ever asked of you is 100% your best. For a guy who's angry at the whole world, you got a lot of people that love you, man. Listen to this building. Everyone here in Orlando loves Eddie Kingston. Everyone all over the world loves Eddie Kingston. Everyone in the building will love you on Saturday. They don't care if you win or lose. They deserve your maximum effort. He says, but I know you better than you know yourself. I know you can't beat me, I know that you can't beat me, and you know that you can't beat me, and you've already lost. You're already making excuses. He says, a couple of years ago, I gave you a shot of a lifetime. I let you go out on your shield. This time, you don't get one favor. You want to be the Triple Crown champ like all your heroes, you're going to have to earn every ounce of it. And then Eddie takes the mic and he says, you talked enough. Don't treat me like your young boy, bitch. Yuta.
I just absolutely love. He also swallowed the "you've talked enough" asshole. He swallowed that asshole line right there too. That was kind of nice.
Oh yeah. I undersold that. He says, don't treat me like your young boy, bitch, Yuta. I'm not a young guy. I broke in before you. You're lucky I let you breathe. I hate myself more than I hate anyone else. But on Saturday, the king of the bums is going to push you. You told me when I wanted to quit AEW, you aren't allowed to quit. We need you around here to shape the younger guys. I'm going to give you everything I have. You better show off your fighting spirit because I'm going to show you mine. And then he could have just stopped. But he says, that's my outline, Tofa. It's like, what are you doing? It didn't ruin the promo, but it was totally unnecessary.
But I think it was I also think he probably went to production and said, you'll know my outline when you hear it. And it's like, well, maybe he doesn't. Yeah, or at least he didn't know what his outline was at the time.
till he started talking.
That said,
but it was unbelievable. I didn't do it justice.
I went a little back and forth on this because I wasn't sure if Moxley's part was great or confusing, because I love Moxley going babyface, pump up the babyface, pump up the babyface, pump up the babyface, but just remember I'm the heel. And I love that little, like, just sticking the dagger in there. Said, look, all these people love you. They're great. This is the, oh man, look at how these people love you. Look at how these people love you. Still gonna kick your ass because I'm the heel. The self-loathing stuff from Eddie, it just needs a little bit of a break, just a little bit of a back off, but I get it's part of the character. King of the bums. I liked that Moxley invoked, all your heroes held the Triple Crown. It's almost like driving it in, like, and if you lose, you'll be disappointing your heroes too, type of a thing. I thought that was a nice little delicious evil twist to it, while getting inside Eddie's head. And I liked when Moxley left to go up the ring, he pointed to his head. He goes, I'm inside his head almost. It's like that was a really nice little touch. So I really liked this. I really liked the I actually wanted Kingston to remind him, hey, I've always had your back and I've always been your best friend. You're the one who turned on me, type of a thing, to bring back that history. But no, this was a great promo segment from two guys who are really good at them.
You know what's amazing about this is that I don't think there's a person on the planet Earth that thinks that Eddie Kingston isn't winning on Saturday, but we're all looking forward to this match.
We're looking forward to this match. I have been thinking about this because I figured out once Kingston got into the finals that this is just to give him all those titles back.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Kingston works better not winning titles. I got to be honest with you. I think he's the Tommy Dreamer of this company, where you keep him from the title and you keep stringing people along into that, because I don't think he moves business as the champion.
Well, I don't think this belt is designed to move business, but
nobody's beaten most of your upper card main eventers to get here.
The key is what you do after this. Like, are you going to elevate this belt? Are you going to do what you did with Orange Cassidy and make it a main event title? Or is it just going to be Kingston showing up every month, once a month, with this belt around his arm and doing indie matches all over the place defending it?
Well, the problem is then you have to beat people who are in this tournament, who you want to still be in the upper echelon of this card. Like Kingston can't beat Swerve at this point one-on-one to defend these titles.
Well, no, but Orange Cassidy didn't do that either. Not until he got to Moxley.
Right.
So, I mean, if he goes on a long run and beats like everybody that's not on that upper level, people will talk about it as a legendary title reign.
Maybe, but I mean, if he's beating the same guy's orange beat on that, like, oh, you're gonna be facing Phoenix this week. You're gonna be facing Commander. You're gonna be facing
matches will be great. Miro, I mean, you can do all this stuff. Fletcher, like you can do these matches.
I
You can
guess.
bring in guys from the outside.
Yeah.
Vikingo.
If he's a traveling champ, I think that's even better, especially if he goes
Yeah.
to like New Japan and defends this title. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and I imagine he will. All right.
Hold on. Is there any chance that Moxley actually wins this?
Well, I mean, you pointed out the reason that he should. But if he does, then they really got to do something with this belt.
Right.
No, Josiah, I'm not dismissing
nobody's dismissing the reign.
No, I'm saying if they want it to be something, they've actually got to build it up.
Yeah, I'm pondering his place in a company with a lot of belts and a lot of guys that you want to push as big deals. That's
But we've also just seen it. We saw a guy in Orange Cassidy who is probably in a similar spot on the card as Eddie take a belt that was a joke and make it a main event title.
Well, yes, but it's also funny because before this tournament began, we all thought that this was going to be the ascension of Swerve. And we kind of I think a lot of us dismissed the fact that this was going to be handed right back to Eddie Kingston.
Well, I know that there were people that were basically telling me that right from the beginning,
right?
And me saying, well, if they're doing that, then why am I supposed to care about this tournament next year?
Yeah,
but I guess it's all the great matches, and again, this finals couldn't have been better. So, and we still have one more match, which I'm sure is going to be great too on Saturday. So
I really like the idea of a tag team version of this, but that's me.
Oh yeah, no, me too. And I also like the idea of moving this to late spring, early summer, and giving the winner the title shot at All In, as opposed to doing it for the Triple Crown.
Yeah, no, I think what was it, us or was it me on another show?
I think it was us.
Said that. Yeah, that put that out there at first. It's like, yes, make this the biggest deal in the company, and then you main event the biggest show in the company. I like that. Yeah.
Jason Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Right. We finally got Lexi Nair with Christian and Shayna and Nick. And Christian was quick to point out that she's now Mother Wayne and the prodigy Nick Wayne. They point out that Adam they said that Adam has arrived and we're going to get it after the break. So they come back from the break. Copeland shows up and he immediately attacked Nick and then he attacked Christian. Security's in to break it up. Copeland fights off all the security. Christian takes off into another room and goes down the hall. A bunch of wrestlers show up, and I didn't recognize a lot of them. There's a couple of them wearing cowboy hats. I think Brian Keith might have been in there.
Brian Keith was one, and I wasn't sure if that was Manders or if that was one of the Von Erichs.
Von Erichs, yeah. I thought okay. One of them was one of the Von Erichs too. And Top Flight and Action and Andretti were definitely in there.
Serpentico definitely in there.
Yeah. So they're all trying to break everything up. They run down the hall. We got 5 guys holding Adam Copeland back. Kevin Matthews is in the middle of the two groups, and as they haul Adam Copeland away, Christian's calling him a coward, which was a nice touch.
Jumped me from behind.
Yeah. Okay. Josiah confirms it was a Von Erich. So I guess they must have been signed because they're in Orlando now. So
I think this was taped last week.
Oh, okay.
That's my opinion.
You know what? You might be honest because Brian Keith also, unless he got signed, and I didn't hear he got signed.
Yeah, and he was in the middle of the brawl too.
Okay, well there we go. Yeah, Twan Mack thinks it was last week. That didn't even occur to me, but it makes a lot of sense then, because also Lexi, we didn't see her on anything else. So yeah, they probably taped it last Saturday, when Christian and Copeland were both there. So, all right, we got Chris Statlander and Sky Blue. And this match,
this is a Tony Khan special.
Yeah, I will say this match was okay. It was maybe even a little good, but it existed for Stokely Hathaway to do stand-up comedy on the microphone. There's some storyline going on that I don't quite understand. He's all of a sudden interested in the women's division and in Chris Statlander. He says he cares about the women's division and wants to see it thrive. And Shivani asked him how he got info from the women's locker room. And he says, people talk to me. They just don't get mad because they don't talk to you.
I think he wants to turn Willow Nightingale against Chris Statlander.
That's what I'm thinking. But they never talk about that. And at one point, somebody brought up Willow and Sky blew them off. So Shivani called him a troublemaker. Stoke said that Statlander needs to change her attitude and he's got her best interests at heart. And Stoke started trying to tell a story about his cousin Leon, and Excalibur kept trying to call the match, and then Stokely finally told him to stop interrupting me. And he said he works at AutoZone. He twisted his ankle and he's been out of work for 5 years. And but Chris Statlander, she tore both her quads and she was back in 5 months. So he said she's impressive. And Shivani, he said Shivani coughs and he's out of work. And Shivani said, I wish. And they went through break. They come back from break. The crowd was dead, but they picked up when Statlander made her comeback and starts hitting clotheslines. Then Stoke brought up all the people that she's beat. And he points out that she hasn't been pinned in 19 months, which I didn't even realize. So I guess when she lost the belt, it must have been a multi-person match.
It was in the 3-way, yeah. With
okay. So yeah. So she hasn't been pinned in 19 months. Keep that in mind. And then Sky hit a code blue, and it was actually a good one. Like, sometimes she
I made a note of that. I go, that was actually a good code blue by her.
But Sky kicked it, or Stat kicked out. Then Sky came off the top, but Stat caught her and went for a power bomb. Sky reversed that. Then Stat double reversed it and hit a power bomb, and Sky barely kicked out of that one. And I wrote down, well, that should have been the finish, but since it wasn't, that probably means Sky's winning. And the crowd, I think, figured that out too, because the crowd was dead from that point on. And then Excalibur asked what Stoke has against Willow, and he says nothing. She just likes to run her mouth. So, that was just kind of out of nowhere. And Stat set up a superplex. Sky slipped out. She distracted the ref, and that allowed Julia Hart to show up out of nowhere and attack Statlander. And Sky gave her the kick to the face in the turnbuckle. Then she did an avalanche code blue and got the pin. And first time Statlander's been pinned in 19 months, and it was in a nothing match that was a backdrop for Stokely Hathaway comedy.
With interference.
Yes.
Before this story. I'm currently looking up how many matches Sky Blue has had on Dynamite this year.
Okay, so she apparently has wrestled more than any man or woman in AEW this year.
This is ridiculous.
Well,
I'm sorry, it's ridiculous, especially in a world where apparently Nyla Rose no longer exists.
Or Emi Sakura.
Well, Emi at least gets on Ring of Honor occasionally.
Nana does too.
And Lana, yeah. Taya Valkyrie has not been seen in a while, other than
she's on Ring of Honor as well.
She was on the Ring of Honor.
She's going to be the ROH Women's TV champion because
is she? Yeah.
Johnny TV and yeah.
Yeah, I could do with less Sky Blue. And I'm the angle with Julia Hart, fine. Happy that Abaddon's getting kind of a mini push because I think she's worked her ass off to get in shape. So I'm happy, always happy about that. A little disappointing. I'm a fan of Queen Aminata.
She wrestled on Rampage.
I thought she had a bit of a run there where she was teaming with Emmy and Nyla and whatnot, and just chopping the crap out of people. And I was enjoying.
I did like Sky and Julia as a tag team on Saturday. I thought they worked really well as a tag team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if we can get past the spooky stuff. What happens? What did you think of the way they brought back Thunder Rosa? Because I thought that should have been something that was hyped versus just kind of a surprise leaving the.
I can't remember if we talked about this last week.
I think we might have, but
when she ran into the ring, I thought it was Ty Mello. I didn't even realize it was Tony
That's
Rosa.
What you said.
Yeah.
And then
she wrestled once, and we haven't seen her. I don't know.
Stokely just makes a convoluted angle even more convoluted. I think that's the problem here for me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we were originally it looked like we are going to turn Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale because of the mist to Julia Hart's side. And then all of a sudden we skip that. And then we go back to Sky Blue being dark and spooky.
And they were also turning Willow at that time. And then they scrapped that.
They scrapped, I said that they scrapped the Willow part too.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we're going to get a Willow Chris. Maybe Stokely goes in between and tries to.
Yeah, and ends up turning Willow. So he's going to end up managing Willow against Stat.
I think Willow Nightingale would be a terrible heel.
I mean, she's a total natural babyface. Yeah. And I don't think turning Statlander heel is a bad idea at all, actually. So her and Willow, against each other would probably be a really good match.
And I agree with you. I think the commentary was just Stokely was
too much,
popping everybody at the same time, and even to the point where Shivani at one point goes, "Hey, this is a really good match here, guys."
Yep. And then he's like, "Stop interrupting me! I'm trying to tell a story." It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, okay, who do we want to get over here? Do we want to get
Yeah.
over the match or do we want to get over Stokely? And
That's the problem with
that was the
Stokely.
tug of war here.
That's the problem with Stokely is
Yes.
it's all about Stokely. Sky attacked her after the match, and Julia was watching on. Then Julia hit her with a lariat from behind. Sky puts on her submission move. Willow makes a save, fights them off, and the crowd popped for her running in. But then when the music was off, they just kind of went quiet. And then Abaddon came out and confronted Julia and Sky on the ramp, and so they took off through the crowd. And
I think Statlander was one who yelled, "She's gonna eat you." I was like,
yeah,
that's a little much.
yeah. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but yeah, that must have been it. We go to the back with Renee, and she's with Ruby and Saraya, and she tells Ruby, "You're facing Marina Shafir on Friday, and what do you think about that?" But before she can answer, Saraya interrupts her, and she's got her something special for Rampage. I got you a little helper.
Oh,
and it's Harley.
The return of Harley Cameron.
Yes,
out of QTV hell.
Yeah,
where she was actually pretty good. I thought she was actually pretty good in those sketches, but yes.
So Saraya tells her that she's great with her hands, and then Ruby's phone rings, and then Saraya says, "Is that Angelo?" Because in case everyone's forgot, he's Angelo Parker and not Jeff Parker. I think that's just me because I'm the one who always forgets that he's Angelo Parker. And then Harley pulls out a knife, and she's got like this wild look on her face, and she's swinging this knife around, and Saraya's like, "Not here," and she pulls her off stage. Renee has like got this like, what the like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but this storyline just got weird.
Harley is here armed with her ample bosom and a knife, kitchen knife, a giant kitchen knife to act psychotic.
I don't know how she hid that knife. Like, I guess it was behind her back.
It was behind her back, yes.
Okay,
for the punch.
Yeah, it was just out of nowhere. So on Rampage, we're going to see that match, and we're also going to hear from Jericho. Wheeler Yuta is going to defend his pure title against Matt Sydal, literally 24 hours before he faces Hook. And we're going to get Top Flight against Orange Cassidy, Rocky, and Trent that they set up earlier. And then World's End, 0 Hour. There's going to be a 20-man battle royal because Tony loves his battle royals. And the winner gets a TNT title match anytime, anywhere, any place they want. Adam Copeland should just enter that too. And Wheeler and Hook are going to battle for the FTW title on 0 Hour. So last time the FTW title was defended on 0 Hour, it went really well. So I'm sure that'll happen again.
You think anybody will get slammed through a windshield?
You know what? This wouldn't be the worst place in the world for Jack Perry to come back. And they did another World's End rundown, and it was basically the same matches as before, but they did add an 8-man tag, which is going to be Jericho, Sammy, Sting, and Darby against Hobbs, Kyle Fletcher, Big Bill, and Ricky Starks. And they go to commercial, and I actually caught up with the feed at this point, and there's 5 minutes left in the show.
By the way, this 8-man tag will all be worth it if Callis is on commentary and Fletcher takes the pin and calls him worthless and an embarrassment to the family.
Who's coming back as the devil? Jason. He's coming back.
Oh, the joke that Jungle Boy was the devil.
Oh yeah. Oh God. So they cut to commercial. They go to commercial. There's 5 minutes left in the show, and they're advertising that when we come back, it's going to be an ROH tag team title match. Samoa Joe and MJF against the Devil's Henchmen or the Devil's Masked Men. So I'm like, okay, first of all, we're getting an overrun, and secondly, we're getting an angle. Like, we're not getting a match. So they come back from break, and Justin Roberts starts to do his ring intros, but the Masked Men, they just come in through the crowd, and Justin doesn't even introduce them. They don't get any music. They just get in the ring. So MJF gets his entrance, and then Justin Roberts announces Samoa Joe, but they cut to the back, and Joe's laid out, and he's holding his knee, and he's selling it, doing a way better job than anyone's ever sold any of these devil attacks, except I knew damn well he had not got attacked. Like, it was painfully obvious. But Max insists, "I'm doing this match," and he's all fired up, and he's firing up the crowd, and I'm just thinking, you're an idiot. Like, what?
Stupid babyface syndrome is real.
Oh yeah. I cannot tell you how much I hated this. Josiah says Joe got a reaction, but the crowd noticeably went quiet and barely chanted for MJF when he was attacked.
We'll get to our reactions.
Yeah, he's normally positive. So they started out, they actually kind of had a match. MJF was just running wild on these two people under mask. I don't know who they were. I'm assuming it was probably Taven and Bennett, but
I think it was Taven and Bennett.
Yeah. He's actually doing well. He attacked one of them, stomped a mud hole in him, took out the other guy. Then they made a tag. The other one attacked him, but MJF backbody dropped him out of the ring. Fans are chanting, "He's our scumbag." Mask says, "Do you want me to unmask this piece of shit?" And he's about to pull off the mask. And then some guy come out from under the ring and hit Max with a pipe. And they get back in the ring and they made a tag. And one of the guys hit a heat seeker on him. And he pinned him with the feet on the ropes. I'm pretty sure Bryce was staring right at the feet. And then he called for the pin. The masked guys are the champs. Two more guys swarm the ring and start beating on Max. And so we got new ROH tag team champions, but we don't know who they are. And Joe's music hits and he limps out.
All
with
right,
a
we
chair.
usually don't know who the ROH tag champs are, but continue.
This is true. The masked guys, Joe's music hits. He comes out with a chair. The security's trying to hold him back, but he gets through them. And the masked guys leave. Joe helped him up. And all of a sudden, the devil's on the screen. And Max is looking at him. And Joe's behind Max with the chair. And then the devil doesn't say anything. But then line goes on the screen and it says, "Pleasure doing business with you." And Max,
pleasure doing business with both of you.
Is that what it said?
Yes.
I thought it said just pleasure doing business with you. Okay. Pleasure doing business with both of you. Okay. I missed that key part of it. But but Max, with Joe standing behind him, doesn't figure this out. He continues to stare at the screen, and Joe looks at the chair, it wasn't long. It was a couple seconds, but then
he did the devil thing with the mask where he tilts his head to an angle and then hit it with the chair.
Yeah, hit him with the chair.
I disagree. It said both.
Did it? Okay, I don't think it did.
I don't know. It might have. I don't know. I thought it said pleasure doing business with both of you, or with.
I was just
deferring
to Jeff. Josiah hates this WWE style nonsense booking. Thought it was Taven and Bennett
let's get the thing. Number one, Joe did a nice job of then not selling the knee. I thought that was nice, and Tony Schiavone called him on it. But yes, this angle sucks because the whole point was, and I get that. Oh, this makes Joe a liar. It doesn't make me interested in the match more. I really wanted Joe to get MJF to the title match in the best shape of his life. And I thought that was the more interesting choice here. I think the choice is going to be that Adam Cole is still a ROH tag team champion because he's the devil and he has preserved it for himself.
That could be. I mean, Max is an idiot for trusting Joe.
Yes.
Max is an idiot for wanting to defend the ROH tag team titles by himself when he's got a title match on Sunday. Oh, and I didn't point out, he's also like taped up from like all across his body. He's got a shoulder harness. He's got mask and tape all over him. He's completely beat up. Like, he shouldn't be in this match in the first place. And now he's going to wrestle them again by himself.
And Joe as a main event presence without the help of a stable or anything is infinitely more cooler than him as part of a stable in some way.
Well, I do, and the way this was played off was that Joe made a deal with the devil. Yeah. So it was, they did this to set up Max.
And so if he did, he's probably not a part of this either. He's probably just
right. Yeah. He basically hired the devil, or he's working with the devil.
The devil,
but
him. Yes.
Now we're going into Long Island, and you've got babyface champion on the ropes. He's all beat up. He's just gotten beat up by Joe. He's got all the devil and his henchmen and all these guys around, and he's defending against Joe. I mean, it looks like he's going to lose the belt, but how do you beat Max in his hometown?
Oh, he's beating Joe with a kangaroo kick. We've gotten the spookiness out of the way. Now we're gonna get fiery babyface MJF in his hometown, going for laughs, and he's gonna beat Joe with a kangaroo kick.
Okay, let's let's table that for a second. let's just say
In my heart, you know I'm right. Paul.
Let's just say the logical thing plays out, and Joe beats MJF in Long Island in their debut.
Before this angle, I was thinking. I thought before this angle, yes, it's perfect for Joe to take the title from him, and maybe he's
in
the
his
puppet master
hometown
behind it. Well, for heat.
For heat. So we're WWE now.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
shit. Everything else about this has been WWE.
Because I mean, this is
why not?
This is where we're at now. I actually made a point while I was watching the show tonight. You remember when AEW first started, and
people would get the hometown wins. It was
that too. But you remember when they would do matches, and Excalibur would be doing his commentary, and then they would just go to commercial. Like you would barely have time to pitch to it. The wrestlers would have no idea they were going to commercial. They're just wrestling a match. Like, they cut off in the middle of a move. And now when they go to commercial, they do a spot to the outside. Excalibur's voice picks up, and like, it's exactly the same as WWE now.
Yes,
when they go to commercial. And they're beating people in their hometowns, and we're getting spooky angles with devils. And
no, my point was, if you were to keep all this devil stuff out of the Joe MJF thing and to crown Joe as the title holder in there, and then you reveal the devil later, maybe, I don't know, but you make Joe the big bad of this company. It would be awesome for Joe to do that in terms of that. But no, of course not. Max is going to beat this title. Then Cole's going to get revealed as the devil.
So, I mean, I suppose if they do, you could do that. And then, maybe the devil shows up after the match and then confronts him. And then he reveals himself. Or the devil
or the minions beat up Joe, and then the devil eventually reveals himself as Cole, and then MJF thinks that the devil's on his side, and the minions then beat up him.
That could be, and that could happen during the match.
Yeah,
and
this is going to be an overbooked main event, in my opinion, unless they do the finals of the tournament as a main event, which I think is a much stronger idea, to be honest with you.
I just I can't imagine MJF in his hometown not being in the main event, but. I mean, if they're going to take the title off him, it probably shouldn't be the main event. It should be Eddie.
Yeah,
and it's Eddie's hometown too.
And it's Eddie's hometown too. So I mean, you could always disappoint them with MJF and come back with the Eddie win.
Yeah, and MJF, for all we know, I mean, he might not be fully healed either. Like, this might end up just being an angle.
Do you think there's anybody out there who has figured out a way in their mind? MJF could still be the devil here. Because there's one person.
Roderick Strong.
Yeah. Yes, Roderick Strong.
Max is the devil.
All right, explain this then. Well,
he didn't really want the ROH tag team titles. He tried to screw his best friend Adam Cole.
There's two devils and two sets of minions, and they're gonna fight now.
Oh God.
These weren't MJF's minions. These were Adam Cole's minions. MJF's minions weren't there that night. But it's the pinnacle.
Oh God. All right. We do this before every pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Let's do some quick picks. The 8-man tag doesn't matter, but
Sting.
Yeah, Sting. I mean, Sting hasn't lost at all in the thing, so he's not losing here.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna pin I would have him pin like Big Bill, and then maybe you set up a tag team title match, but
that could be it too.
Yeah. The Hook and Wheeler are obviously, well, I shouldn't say it's obvious. I don't know. Probably Hook, right?
Yeah, it has to be Hook, I think.
Yeah, maybe I think I'm calling it. We're gonna see Jack Perry return here.
Okay.
20-man battle royal for the TNT title match. I mean, who knows? Could be anybody, right?
Luchasaurus.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe
you know what? I'm gonna make a bold prediction here, and I'm gonna say Mustafa Ali.
Actually, I'm gonna make a bold. This is where Jack Perry comes back.
Oh, that could be, yeah,
and he wins.
And then he's
come back to another damn TNT title angle, but with Christian.
Okay, so you're calling Jack Perry. I'm actually gonna scale back just a touch. I'm not necessarily saying Mustafa Ali, but I'm going to say it's one of the WWE cast-offs is going to come in here and win.
And win? Okay, I don't think they do that. I think they might debut one in here, but he doesn't win.
I say he's going to win and challenge, whoever wins between Christian and Copeland.
Okay.
All right.
Cool with that.
And then I just got to find the I had the rundown here of the other matches. MJF and Joe. I guess we're on opposite sides. We've kind of already said, right?
No, I'm saying kangaroo kick. MJF's winning this.
Yeah, and I'm saying Joe's winning.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. We're full WWE at this point. Tony Storm and Riho.
Tony Storm.
Yeah, obviously.
With Mariah May's help.
Yeah, the match is Tony and Mariah. So that's the big one. Swerve and Keith Lee.
Oh, Swerve.
Got to be Swerve, yeah. This one's tough. Andrade and Miro. I mean, doesn't really matter, does it?
Good Lord.
How do you get one of these guys to lose? Like
CJ Perry turns on Andrade and joins Miro.
Oh, they could do that. I'm gonna call Andrade just to be different.
Okay. I'm fine with either. This is actually a match I'm looking forward to.
Julia Hart
I do love Andrade. I do love Andrade with all my
Julia Hart and Abaddon for the TBS title.
Julia Hart, and let's hope they don't stink up the joint.
No, and probably we get the next challenger, after this would probably Statlander, I would think. Because I don't think she got her one-on-one rematch yet. So
actually, you know what, Jason brings up a good question. Because of the surgery, will CJ Perry actually be there?
Oh yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
Oh God, Aces and Eights versus Black Scorpions.
Here for it.
I should ask.
Al Perez needs to play. We'll have Al Perez versus D'Lo Brown, and it'll be fantastic.
I should have asked this after the MJF Joe thing, but are we going to find out who the devil is?
We have to, because this is stupid. It's getting stupider by the day. Let's get rid of this and move on with our lives.
I agree. We have to find out who the devil is.
In our awards at the end of the year, this is going to be the angle that I want erased.
I'll give a sneak peek. What I'm going to say, because we have that deleted award.
Yes.
My delete would be AEW Collision.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Because that started a whole chain of stuff, and I'll explain it more on when we do the show. I think we're recording it Sunday or Monday, sometime after World's End. All right, Christian Copeland for the TNT title.
Boy,
this is a tough one.
See, it also depends on who wins that battle royal.
Yeah, that might be a giveaway.
I think you crown Copeland, but I can see every excuse to keep Christian as the most powerful heel in the mid card.
I am gonna say that it's likely going to be Christian, which is going to end up leading somehow, and I don't know how. To Copeland.
Wait, hold on. I know what it is now. Okay, here we go.
What?
Edge wins this title, but Nick Wayne wins the battle royal.
Oh, okay. Then he gives Christian his title shot.
Well, no, maybe that could be what happens, or Christian tries to take it from him. Yeah,
yeah. Copeland to have TNT main event matches. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna say that I think Christian's gonna win, and somehow it's gonna end up leading to Christian and Copeland reuniting. Because I do think that Christian and Copeland against Sting and Darby is the main event for Revolution.
All right, I can see that.
Yeah, but I don't know how we get there. That's the problem. All right, and John Moxley and Eddie Kingston for the
actually, champion. You know what? Sting taking the title off of Christian at Revolution seems like the choice here, and that he retires as TNT champion because he's meant so much to Turner in wrestling.
You know what? That would be great. And then they could just crown a new one.
Because I was thinking for a while, maybe they give Sting the big title shot for AEW, and he retires the main champ, and then they do a tournament for the title.
And don't they? I think they still recognize Brody Lee as a TNT champion.
They do.
Yeah, so they do the same thing with Sting.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. So yeah, maybe Christian keeps it until then. Although I do like the idea of Ric Flair turning on Sting in his last match. But I think it kind of has to happen, but maybe it does and it backfires.
That's what I'm hoping for. I hope it does and it backfires. And then we never see Ric Flair again.
And Moxley and Kingston, I think we both are calling Kingston, right?
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, and he's the Triple Crown champ, and then we see what happens. And again, I going back to Josiah's point earlier, I'm not down on it. I mean, on the surface, it's like, okay, we're right back where we started. We did this whole tournament, and Eddie's just got the same belts again, but it's about what you do after that.
Yeah, and the follow-ups are always weak. And I think it's weird because I think they've just decided that the All Atlantic turning into the International is no longer going to be a travel belt. It's going to be an Orange Cassidy belt. So we need a travel belt. So we're going to give it to Eddie so he can go to New Japan or All Japan or wherever he wants to go.
Yeah, All Japan, and well, I don't know.
Well, there's a New Japan belt involved in this Triple Crown, so there's politics involved there. So it might just be New Japan.
Yeah, and ROH as well.
And ROH,
yeah. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it. We are going to be doing a show with James and Kevin from The Boom, our special year-end review show that we do every year. The Boom Goes to Dynamite Hall of Boom Awards, which I think I don't know if we've nailed down whether it's going to be Sunday or Monday, but it'll be out early next week anyways for special audio on the Patreon, or it might end up just being in the
I think James and Kevin are also doing a post show.
They are, and who knows? Maybe one of us will show up on it.
Yeah, we might both show up and just do the Hall of Boom there too. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So look forward to that. You can check that out. They'll be on probably about 15 minutes after the pay-per-view ends on Sunday or Saturday. Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah,
is World's End. No Collision this week. Rampage in the regular time slot. So you can check that out. And and Merry Christmas to you too, Josiah. Take it easy. Thanks for joining us. I know it's real late there on the East Coast. All right. No, I guess he's in Ottawa now, so it's not quite as late, but it's almost midnight. So thanks a lot, Josiah. And thanks to everyone else for listening and participating and all the great conversation in here. Jeff, get your plugs in.
At Crap Game 13 on the old X. Myself and Chris Novembrino do a show called Shake Them Ropes this week. Our lazy river of year-end stuff, since a lot of us probably didn't, we don't have spreadsheets and whatnot. We'll just ask what we liked and what we didn't like, and we'll also do a preview of this show. So, it'll be nice. It'll drop sometime late this week.
All right. And In the Clinch is on a bit of a hiatus right now, but we'll be back, I think, the second week of the new year.
Happy birthday, our Fred. Happy birthday, our Fred.
It's Ryan Frederick's birthday today, as well as Parker Klein, the former co-host of this show. I had two co-hosts at one point with the same birthday, and I didn't even know it at the time because I didn't last long enough with Parker to make it to his birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. But so happy birthday to Parker Klein and Ryan Frederick. And we didn't do our fake ad read this time. So after we sign off, you're going to hear some word from our great sponsors, and make sure you support them and don't just skip through the next podcast. Listen to those commercials.
Yes.
And support our fine advertisers. So for Jeff, I've been Paul, and this has been the Dynamite Show.